What's up, everybody? Brothers, sisters, psychonauts, and seekers of truth. It is Ananka, and welcome to my bazaar. Today, I have an LSD/Salvia Divinorum trip report for you. The title of this trip report is 5D Prison Outside of Time, and was submitted to Earwid in 2010 by the user Klaus. With all that being said, let our story begin. I'm writing this because I noticed that there aren't many reports about this combination. And where there are, they tend to be negative, or there were more substances involved. Mine wasn't necessarily positive or negative, just immensely weird and mind-blowing. One thing I have to say, though, is that this combo is very easy to panic on, which is what I almost did, but more about that later. To start off, I am a very experienced drug user, having been around the block a lot with every major illegal drug, and several drugs most people have never even heard of. My favorite is by far mescaline, but I've only got to try it a few times. Barring that, I would say it's LSD, and that I've done dozens and dozens of times. I've experienced a lot of crazy trips in my time, but never anything like this. Before I begin, I should mention we had also been smoking a fair amount of marijuana throughout the evening. How much? I don't know. Also, I apologize for the length of the post. It's just, this is a very difficult experience to describe. Anyways, here's what happened. I'd gotten a hold of some pretty good acid from a friend of mine. I bought 3 hits, and my friend A bought 2. Excited to trip, we went back to his place and dosed around sunset. While we waited to come up, we just smoked some of A's weed and listened to Animal Collective. Nothing out of the ordinary for us at that time. We both noticed that this acid took a while to come on, and at first we thought we might have been gypped. Of course, a few minutes later, Alice made herself known to us. I smiled in delight as that euphoric buzz unique to acid crept over me, opening all of my senses. A lot more happened as we came up, but honestly, it was trivial compared to what would happen to me in the next few hours. We peaked around about 3 hours. We both remarked about the quality of the acid. During the following hours we talked, listened to music, and drew some really good abstract art with oil pastels, which is saying something because I'm not much for visual art. It was an awesome trip. Enthralling is the word. Not one uncomfortable thought or feeling. Then, as we were both coming down toward the 6-hour mark, sorry, I should have documented times, but I didn't know anything this crazy would happen. I remembered about the little bag of salvia I had from the day before. I got the Ziploc bag from out of my backpack. Inside was quite a bit of non-extract leaf and about 2 hits of some 10X. Having had such a good trip, and being a little disappointed it was all winding down, I asked A if he was ready to embark. Of course, he was, so we filled his bong with some leaf and a hit of 10X. We decided beforehand that we would go one at a time, just in case. A had done salvia several times before, and he really liked it. I'd only done it once before, and it was 60X. Total amnesia from the first hit. I don't even fully remember the come down. Not really pleasant. I was probably more apprehensive than A for that reason, which may have influenced my trip. We wait, but nothing really happens to him. So we smoke 2 more bowls of the leaf. Enter the insensible giggling I'd seen happen on Salvia before. We both thought our visuals became more colorful, but still, nothing. I decided to wait a bit longer. Then suddenly the mood of the room changed. It's hard to describe. The only way I can explain it is that Salvia came into the room and was there with us. Not like a drug, but like an actual person. Disembodied and pervasive. I mentioned this to my friend, who thought it was cool. He still didn't feel anything remotely like his last trips. I wait some more, and the presence begins to subside. Not wanting to waste my shot, I packed a bowl of 10X and took it all in one hit. As I exhale, I woke up in an unfamiliar reality. It happened so fast, I didn't know what to think. Titanic tidal forces were stretching my body in all directions. I felt like I was being smeared over everything. Everything I saw had become intensely colored, and not your regular, dude, I'm tripping, so many colors kind, but the I'm about to go insane type. The colors were so brilliant that nothing in the room seemed solid, but rather like it was a hyperliquid. In this hyperliquid state, everything bled into everything else. I felt like my body was being pulled into the floor and dissolving into the air around me. This was quite disturbing. Only a few seconds into the trip, it intensified to a crazy level. Now everything had such an awesome gravity. It's like A's living room had just fallen through an event horizon, and everything had taken on such incredible mass. I felt like I was being crushed by the immense forces emanating from everything, almost as if I was in the presence of some immense being. Light became very strange to perceive. It was like I was moving just a tiny bit slower than it, so time had almost come to a standstill. To this day, I think I understand Einstein's ideas about space-time better. For in this state, time and space melted into this organic, breathing thing, and I could feel out events happening anywhere in the universe. It was like every event sent out a pulse, and because of the hyperliquid nature of reality, these pulses were almost instantaneously transferred into everything else, all across existence. I looked at my friend in terror. All he said was what? Repeatedly with a smile. But to me it seemed like he was confirming that this was indeed reality. I thought that him and all my friends and family existed on this level and had forever, while I had been stuck in the 3D world of delusion all my life and had just now realized what everyone else already experienced. I've heard of Salvia having this unique effect on others before. It surely felt like I had woke up and realized every event and detail of my life was a complete fabrication. This terrified me, I won't deny. Suddenly, a pocket in reality opened up, and my awareness divided between the me experiencing all of this stuff in A's living room and the me that was stuck in this immense, geometric chamber shaped like a triangle. It was so immense that I realized I was in fact in a room of infinite proportions. Imagine eternity turning into a room. Well, that's where I was. The walls were full of repeating, spiraling patterns. The strangest thing about this chamber was that it seemed to have more than 3 dimensions, though I don't really know if this can actually be true. Everything appeared to be 5D. This is where I really start to panic, as the alien geometry really upset me. I felt the most intense fear, a desire to escape this triangle chamber that I was now interpreting as a prison. The problem was, this chamber did not exist anywhere in space-time. It was beyond both. I remember calling out desperately to the me still in A's living room, but my voice could not carry across the infinitesimal, yet gaping chasm between us. I seriously believed I'd never leave this place, that I was trapped here forever. I could barely remember who I was, let alone who that kid back on Earth was. I was certain I had not only lost my mind, but my soul, lost forever in this bizarre reality. Then I started to focus on the me inside the chamber. Instead of trying to get back to my body still on Earth, I proceeded to experience the most intense feeling of knowledge as I realized that this chamber was really the intersection of countless parallel realities, and this person inside the chamber was the intersection of all the parallel selves that I had in all the parallel worlds I existed in. I had, in an instant, become a conglomerate of parallel minds, all perceiving as one. At this point, I realized that there is something I, or we, which one should I use, have to do. Something so imperative that if I didn't do it, we would be trapped here forever and could never achieve what was next. I wonder. Tormented by the idea, I/we tried to navigate this chamber, but soon realized that since the chamber is infinite, there's relatively no progress that could be made. Despite that, I/we ran and ran, and as we ran, the swirling 5D patterns on the floor got bigger and bigger, yet at the same time always infinite, until it absorbed us. As we were absorbed, we realized what the purpose of us being together as one in this chamber was. And just as suddenly I lost clarity. I become aware I'm in my body again, and the strange pocket closed up and disappeared. I am back in the hyperliquid of space-time, but this time reality is moving as if huge waves were undulating through it. I think this had to do with the music playing at the same time. I could hear the music, but it was just as much a part of the hyperliquid. As these waves passed through reality, I realized even bigger waves were coming from somewhere much deeper in reality. Now I really panicked, as I realized an alien intelligence was sending its consciousness through this hyperliquid plane in the form of waves. But the intelligence itself was much deeper inside reality, far deeper than I was. There was a sinister feeling to the being, though I think this was mainly my ego freaking out. Who knows what the intentions of this being were, as I never directly experienced it. I was simply aware of its emanations through space-time. As the waves pushed through the liquid would condense even more where the waves were, to the point that I saw these bands of A's room become so dense I later described them as being dense as neutron stars. Then the waves hit me, and as they went through me, I felt my being become infinitely dense, like they were. I thought I was being crushed into a singularity, or dying, or both. Suddenly, A's room disappears yet again, and all I am aware of is an infinite darkness and the wave dragging through me. As it drags, it pulls my body into a string without a beginning or an end. I exist for I don't know how long, as this infinite string, when I become aware that there are other strings next to me. I am a fucking guitar, an infinite guitar at that. Somehow the dimensions were set, so I knew I was a string and it was a guitar. But everything was infinite, so how could there be any dimension at all? Anyway, I am still panicking and trying to resist whatever is happening. Suddenly something strikes the strings, and a chord rings out into the void. I realize that I am the hand, the guitar, the strings, and the sound of ringing. But my conscious self is localized on one string. Which one, I can't remember. It was either D or G, as it was in the middle. And this string is full of fear and won't vibrate in harmony with the others, resulting in a discordant harmony. The entire time, I know I have to relax and let it happen. I wish I did. Who knows what could have happened? I would have, had it not been for the sinister feeling that I had. Like if I had relaxed and let the chord play, I'd lose my soul and free will. Very strange thoughts. Who knows what would have happened if I'd let go? I'm kinda glad I didn't. Though there's another part of me that's disappointed. Did I miss a chance to really learn something? Perhaps some things should not be known by a primitive human. I should also mention that throughout this part of the trip, I was aware of many thoughts and impressions, as if I was working out deep inner issues. Of course, I can't remember, which mildly frustrates me. Regardless of what would have happened, I leave this place after another eternity and am back in the hyperliquid. But this time it's less liquid or hyper and more like A's living room. A few more seconds pass, and I stumble back into reality, confused as hell. I get up and look around, wild-eyed and sweating profusely. A is still saying, "What?" and laughing. My heart was beating really fast. For a second I thought it would be a problem, but I just lay down for a bit, and it came under control. For 30 minutes, I seriously could only say, "Holy shit, what the fuck, how? Oh my god, what the fuck, how?" etc. I'm finally able to speak English somewhat fluently and ask A what happened. He says I just zoned out for 2 or 3 minutes and looked scared the entire time, grabbing my sides and looking to the side a lot, which I, of course, do not remember. 2 or 3 minutes? I couldn't believe him, but he insisted. How long it took, I don't know. If there's ever a next time, I'll be sure to bring some kind of timer. In the end, I can't really say it was a bad trip at all. Had I been prepared, this could have been something more productive, and I might have been able to go with it more. It caught me totally by surprise, which is what I think contributed to my fear. Who knows what would have happened if I had let go? It could be a mystery for the rest of my life, as I feel trepidation in attempting such a mind-blowing combo again. I may try it again someday, but only when I am sure that I am ready. It was definitely one of the most intense things that has ever happened to me. On coming down, I remember having the distinct impression that if I would have had to stay there even a few Earth minutes longer, I might have lost my mind forever. This experience definitely stretched my mind to its limits. I've come away from this experience with a new respect for Salvia, psychedelics, and reality in general. That night, I plumbed depths I may never be able to fathom again. Which begs the question, do I even want to? I don't really know the answer to that yet. Maybe I'm just not supposed to be in that world, and that is why it felt so terrifying and sinister. But I can't call it a bad trip, as I think I learned and perceived so much in those few minutes. Here are some things I noticed about the trip that I have found to be common to many Salvia reports I have read. Number 1, experiencing alien geometries. Number 2, feeling like I was being ripped apart. Number 3, realizing that my previous life had all been an illusion, and everyone but me had known, and that this Salvia space was the only true reality. Number 4, becoming an inanimate object, in this case, the guitar. And number 5, experiencing feelings of immensity, gravity, infinity, and eternity. There are a few aspects of the trip I've had a hard time finding in other reports, mainly the all selves and all universes converging into one part, as well as the presence entering the room. I wonder if anyone else has experienced anything like this. As for the multiple selves, a while after the trip I came up with a theory that maybe at that moment I took that last hit, so were an innumerable amount of other eyes scattered throughout the universe. Though in the end, I realize I don't know anything, really. I don't know what would have happened had I not been on acid. It probably would have been much less intense. I've come to the conclusion that Salvinorin A, THC, and LSD make for some incredible synergy. I can't tell you how much one might have colored the other. They just melded together perfectly and catapulted me into realms beyond my understanding. Definitely the strangest night of my life, and my most mind-blowing trip to date. I will ponder this experience for the rest of my days. Note: at the time I didn't play the guitar, or any instruments for that matter, so I find it strange I had such an engrossing hallucination of being a guitar. My intuition told me maybe that was a hint from the universe, or something. Several months after the experience, I started learning the guitar. And now, less than a year after I started learning it, I'm actually quite good. As I get better at the guitar, the more emotionally stable and confident I become, which relates back to the trip like this. In the trip, I was the string that wouldn't play in harmony with the other strings. I feel as I progress with the guitar, I get more in tune with myself on a deeper level, and my anxieties decrease as I work them out through music. Before this trip, I should add I never really had any interest in the guitar at all. So I guess this was actually an extremely productive trip. One that pointed me in the direction of growth. Or maybe I'm insane. Thanks for being patient with such a long report. Alright, everyone. That is the end of our story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And in the comments section, tell everyone about your Salvia experiences. I'll see you in the next one, fam. Deuces.